Hello, my name is Patrick Graham. I'm a Liverpool author, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my anthology, which is 10 short stories I've put together. The title of it is Stories That Make You Ask Quis, Quid, Quando, and Quare, which is Latin for who, what, when, where, why. So basically, what this is, I would say to describe it, there's a little bit of thriller in there, there's some horror, there's suspense, there's mystery. And how I've actually described it on the book, which it is, that's what the cover looks like, which the logo is taken from my design, which is Blackout Productions, which for anyone who knows, a redacted document. And it is a little poetic statement under there that's been redacted. And my basically logo is based on the fact that things are hidden when they're revealed in redacted documents, and what I do through storytelling, through going into schools, doing history lessons with young people and adults as well in community settings, is to reveal things. So my logo is a contradiction of what I do. And technically my logo, although I'm called Blackout Productions, that's my writing name, my performance name, my stage name. For those old enough to remember Prince, he had a symbol which described himself. Well, my symbol is Blackout Productions, that describes myself. So I've described the book, it says stories that make you ask who, what, when, where, why, which, as I said, the Latin version of that is Quis, Quid, Quando, and Quare. And basically, I say they're inquiring into people's desires, needs, thoughts, consequences, and more. Out of the questions you may ask, more importantly, what answer will you get? Let your conscience or your imagination decide. So this book is a few years in the making, because most of the stories in it were written between 2020 and 2023. And one of them was actually written as long ago as 2007, if I remember rightly. And I decided to put these together in an anthology because they're all kind of mysterious, thriller. When I wrote a lot of them, what I found was some of them, or most of them, were written during writing workshops, and the large majority, over half of them, were actually written during writing on the wall, write to work workshops, which were absolutely great and very informative by the different tutors that we had come in. And they were written off prompts. One of them, the first story in the collection, which is called Top of the Stairs, was based on an old wooden staircase in a house in the countryside. And basically, when I finished writing the majority of them, in my mind, or even out loud, I was saying, what? Where did that story come from? Why did I write that? What are them thoughts doing in my head? So years later, when I put the anthology together and decided, what shall I call it? I started recalling back the times when I'd finished drafting them, and them questions I was asking myself, where did that come from? Why would I write something like that? What's going on? You know, who's it really about, or what's it really about? I thought that would be a good title for it, who, what, when, where, why, and to add mystery and intrigue, because a lot of the stories are full of that. I thought I would write it in Latin. Obviously I write in English underneath what it means, because everyone doesn't speak Latin, and nor do I, by the way. I know a few phrases, but I thought I'd write it in that, and that would add some mystery and intrigue. And the cover design based on a redacted document. Again, people will be wondering, well, what's actually under there? I get asked that all the time, and I said, well, if I wanted you to know, I wouldn't have redacted it. So, you know, there's your answer, but that's for me to know. So this book came out in May the 20th to be exact, of this year, 2025, and it is available on Amazon. It's available in our local great bookshop, News from Nowhere in Bold Street, and also another wonderful bookshop which I love going to more than most, is Still Out of Print Books on Smithdown Road, facing the Mystery Park. It's like an Aladdin's palace of books, and I get lost in there for hours at a time when I do go in. So without any further ado, because I've done a lot of talking and no reading, I am going to read an extract from one of the stories, which is the second story in the collection of 10, which is called Severed. And it goes like this. Drop of blood bursts as it hits the pavement. I know it's Christmas morning, but how the hell did I end up in the street? Maybe I've gone crazy. The wind blows flakes of snow, which makes them twirl to create small whirlwinds as they gyrate in graceful pirouettes with each other over the cobblestones. As the snowfall increases, a thin layer is forming on the ground. It's ever so quiet, and not a soul can be seen, not a carriage in sight or even the sound of one in the distance. As I stagger along, I can hear the odd sound of singing of Christmas songs. They're coming from the houses that lie on either side of the street. Coal fires that warm the families inside send smoke waltzing out of the chimneys. There's a faint smell of cakes and cooking in the air. This gives me a comforting, but in some ways, a strange feeling. I should be home with my family, watching my children's faces fill with excitement as they open the presents. I say to myself, I really don't know why I'm missing such a pleasing sight. We don't have much money and it's always difficult to buy gifts for the children since losing the little work I had. Although my wife would never admit it, I know she's not happy. It was my own fault I lost the job, so much so that we can no longer afford to buy each other anything. My wife takes secretarial work from time to time with a good doctor, which has increased of late. We rent 2 rooms on the 3rd floor from him. The doctor lives in the basement rooms where he also works. She is incredible and makes so many sacrifices just to buy the children basic things, so they'd have at least one present to open at Christmas and birthdays. I don't know how she bears going without gifts herself. I'm sure it upsets her. She always says, it's okay, things will soon change for the better, with more money to spend on basics for our children and even myself. I don't mind doing it out, as being with family for me is the greatest gift of all. Unsure how long I've been walking, I stumble into the park, which is quite some distance from where we live. The snow is falling in sheets. It's sticking to the grass, to the cobbled walkway and on the sides of the oak trees and their almost naked branches. The odd golden leaf clings onto them. They refuse to give up their lives before they inevitably fall with the weight of the snow. I've walked these pathways many a time as they meander throughout the park. I've never seen snow fall this thick before. The snowflakes are bigger than I thought they could ever be. The sheets of snow soon become thick blankets and I can barely see 2 yards in front of me. I rub my nose with my right arm as the snowflakes melt on touching it, giving me a tickling sensation. Funny, I can barely feel the coldness despite being dressed in a sleeveless gown and walking in bare feet. Taking off my cap lets the snowflakes settle on my head, which slowly melt. They make waterfalls that flow around my ears and stream down my neck. It reminds me of skipping through the rain as a child, which always received an immediate scolding from my parents to put my cap back on. Having been plodding for some time, I stop. I look behind and just about make out 2 or 3 footprints as they disappear almost in an instant. However, I can see my blood that drips from my severed left arm, which from the elbow down is missing. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that, and as I said, there's the book and the outlets, News From Nowhere, still out of print books, and of course you can order online via Amazon. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll read it, and if you could, give me an honest review on Amazon or contact me on my socials which are inside the book. Thank you very much.